Good morning and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. On a day where efforts to protect voting rights stalled, the Supreme Court limited the administration's right to insist on vaccinations, and a leading Republican had amnesia about condemning Donald Trump for the insurrection on live TV just a year ago to the day, a glimmer of hope still emerged. Now I'm going to bring in our hosts and their guests in a moment, but first, my thoughts on a major arrest. The leaders of the Oath Keepers and 10 others from the group were charged with seditious conspiracy. This is significant for several reasons. If you read the indictment, the motivation for the group's alleged crime was pretty simply the big lie. The DOJ made it clear that the group assembled, coordinated, and acted with deadly intent because they were prompted by the false claims of a certain orange man that an election was stolen. Also, who was arrested? It was a paramilitary group with its leader that were part of a conspiracy. It's also alleged this group's planning was so aligned that they used encrypted messages, carried walkie-talkies, and even assembled a weapons cache just on the outskirts of the Capitol. Finally, for a hesitant Department of Justice and Attorney General to bring these serious slate of charges, it tells me they've got the goods and clearly have intentions of flipping lower-level players to bring down the bigger fish. If any lawmaker coordinated with this group in advance of the January 6 riots, they are quaking in their loafers. Merrick Garland promised last week to take this probe to the very top, and yesterday's developments sure make it seem that that was no empty threat. So, while Kevin McCarthy can have, as I said, convenient amnesia about what he saw and he said that day, his backtracking on cooperating with the commission and sudden reversal to condemn Trump might be an act of political cowardice that he may come to regret. As they say, stay tuned. Things are about to get very interesting in the search for the truth. Now, I want to turn to Biden's efforts to expand and protect voting rights. The initiative took a major hit yesterday when two Democrats signaled that they were unwilling to make a filibuster exception, all but making this DOA. Here's Tom Hartman with how the media never really gave the plan a fair shot and how we may look back in future elections and regret a missed opportunity.
I don't know if you caught President Biden's speech yesterday. I did. Louise and I did. We were actually driving when we heard it. We had to run some equipment down to one of our employees, and it was the speech I thought was brilliant. He said exactly what needed to be said, and if you missed this speech, it's worth going to YouTube or whitehouse.gov or wherever, and just watching it. It wasn't particularly long. But what astonished me was we were listening to CNN in the car on Sirius XM for the speech. And as soon as the speech ended, the guy who sounded like Jake Tapper said to some person, I have no idea who it was, said, well, what do you think? And that guy said, well, it's not going to change anything. You are shooting down our president and our aspirations for democracy in America. You're taking the side of the Republicans before even seriously discussing the issues. Honest to God, I was so pissed off, I changed the Sirius XM channel from CNN to MSNBC, where they were actually having a thoughtful conversation about what it would mean if Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema were to change their minds and say, okay, we cut a hole in the filibuster just 2-3 weeks ago to get the debt ceiling, in abeyance, so that we could keep the government from shutting down. We drilled a hole into the debt ceiling when when Donald Trump wanted to appoint Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. That was a permanent hole they drilled in the filibuster. It used to be you couldn't use the filibuster. You could use the filibuster to stop appointments to the Supreme Court. Mitch McConnell did away with that. Harry Reid had done away with a hole in the filibuster that allowed the appointment of lower court judges and members of the president's cabinet, because when President Obama came into office, the Republicans were filibustering pretty much every single one of his appointees and all of his court nominees, including Merrick Garland. So, I mean, we have this long history of holes being drilled in the filibuster. Donald Trump's tax cuts were passed by going around the filibuster. But, apparently on CNN, none of that mattered. So, anyhow, it just made me crazy. So we can talk about that, too.
As a career wide receiver, I've been hit hard. But no training nor practice prepared us for the devastation of COVID-19. Thankfully, there is hope. Even with multiple vaccines available, we still have to work together until everyone is safe. We all win when we unite to prevent.
Hello, I'm Gilles Kepel, professor at Sciences Po and Normal Sup in Paris, and author of a number of books and articles on the Middle East. Through my new podcast, Reading the Middle East, on the award-winning media service Al Monitor, we will take a deep dive into the trends in the region with the authors and thought leaders who are shaping how we think about the Middle East. To begin my podcast, I speak with my friend and one of the most renowned novelists of the region, Egyptian writer Ala El-Aswani, about his latest book, The Republic of False Truths, that chronicles the run-up to Egypt's 2011 revolution and its aftermath. Reading the Middle East will be a fantastic addition to Al Monitor's outstanding podcast lineup. You can subscribe to all 3 Al Monitor podcasts on your favorite listening platforms. We look forward to your joining our conversation.
Ask yourself 2 questions. Is my participation in democracy important only every couple of years? And why does the filibuster still exist? Well, the answers to both are up to you. Democracy is a continuous process, and if you don't voice your priorities, your voice will not be heard. The filibuster? Its supporters say it exists to promote debate. It does not. It promotes massive gridlock. Ever since your school days, you were involved in elections where the majority vote prevailed. Why isn't that true of every vote that occurs? Why isn't that true in the U.S. Senate? There, the filibuster rules, and that's why nothing gets done. Let's tell our senators, we want you to discuss the issues, debate them, and then let the majority rule. Please visit letmajorityrule.org to learn more. That's letmajorityrule.org. LetMajorityRule.org is a project of the Marvin Lucas Super PAC, which is responsible for and paid for this ad and is not affiliated with or authorized by any political campaign or candidate or candidates committee.
Welcome back. In the past year, any hope for traditional Republicans that their party would break from Trump and come back to their roots, well, they've all been quashed, as fringe lunatics like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz haven't been silenced, but instead elevated by leadership. Here's Rick Smith with more.
It's time for the Rick Smith Show.
Lots to talk about. Let's start with the crazy. Let's jump right in with the crazy Warren Davidson, congressman from Ohio, the southwestern side of the state, down just above Columbus, John Boehner's old district, evidently today compared the COVID vaccine mandates to the Holocaust. He tweeted out, let's recall that the Nazis dehumanized Jewish people before segregating them, segregated them before imprisoning them, imprisoned them before enslaving them, and enslaved them before massacring them. A lot of Democrats not thrilled with that. A lot of folks not thrilled in Congress, and rightfully so. You've got a guy who clearly looking to get his name out there. I honestly had never heard of Warren Davidson before. No legislation to speak of, no policy chops, nothing of interest really. But he got his name in the paper. Look at this. Good for him. And this is kind of where you go, this is where the Republican Party has lost their mind. I looked up the guy's record. Really nothing. He's a nothing congressman with no record, really. And you go, this is the current party, which is why today, for some reason, today was the day a lot of people slammed my email box with, have you seen this? And evidently, our military is going to engage in a couple of week-long training exercise. It is called Robin Sage. I don't know what Robin Sage means, but this is the name of the exercise going to be going on, I guess, from the 22nd of January through February the 3rd. Going to take over probably a good portion of North Carolina. And the goal, I guess, in this is that they're going to practice on how to deal with illegitimate governments. They're going to deal with trying to overthrow an illegitimate government. Or as they put it, Robin Sage is the U.S. military's premier unconventional warfare exercise and the final test of a year's worth of training for aspiring Special Forces soldiers. Candidates are placed in an environment of political instability characterized by armed conflict, forcing soldiers to analyze and solve problems to meet the challenges of this real-world training. Now, they're asking for people in North Carolina to become volunteers, to be like play actors, to help the soldiers, are you a good one or are you a bad one? And it kind of makes you go, hold on. Does this seem like somebody's preparing for, I don't know what could happen in, let's say 2024? Is this something that our military is going, maybe we should start worrying about the crazy people with guns who are basically all over the country and have this rabid idea of, the defeated former guy got cheated. And you hear it in the social media that they're willing to take up arms for him. Is this the military going, we should probably prepare? Maybe we don't want to get caught with our boots off. Maybe just a thought. And you go, but Rick, it's not that bad. Oh, yes, it is. Arizona this weekend, I guess there's going to be a big rally. The defeated former guy has got a big rally scheduled. And one of the special speakers who's going to be there, one of the special guests, is an Arizona state representative, a guy named Mark Fincham. And Fincham is going to address the faithful. He's a QAnon guy. Yeah, he's one of those who repeatedly shared the Q kookery, social media. He's done Q kook podcasts. He's been all over the platforms. He was one of the headliners at the Las Vegas Kookathon. All of that stuff. He's been on stage with the pillow guy. All kinds of stuff. He's in Arizona. He's kind of the Q king kook. He's going to be there as well. And I understand, and this is where it gets fun for me. Evidently, they're pimping the idea that there's going to be live entertainment. And I can't actually believe someone reported this, but Michael Jackson, Prince, Whitney Houston, Janis Joplin, Tupac, and John Lennon. And I'm going, Tupac, really? Okay, maybe they just threw that out there and let's get Tupac back because he's gonna be right in line with the white supremacist movement. Yeah.
"61% of Boys and Girls Club kids rely on free or reduced breakfast and lunch at school. And with schools suddenly closed, families and communities across America are struggling. That's why Boys and Girls Clubs across the country are stepping up to help feed their communities. We're doing whatever it takes to help families get through this crisis. But we need your help. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit bgca.org/relief fund.
If you have not heard of the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network, your podcasting superstation, you suck. I mean,
yes.
We have the smartest, funniest liberals in the country. Stephanie Miller's Happy Hour. We have John Fugelsang. We have Hal Sparks, Frangela, Final Word, and Idiot of the Week. We have Bob Cesca. Oh my God. We have Jody Hamilton from The Bunker. We have Start Me Up with Kimberly Johnson. We have Unprecedented. We have the smartest, funniest podcast, period. Get it now. SexyLiberal.com.
We are missing the sounds of a busy morning, the sounds of joyfulness, and the sounds of hustle and crowded sidewalks. We are missing the soundtrack of our lives. We've endured over a year of solitude and struggle. We all yearn to connect again, and we will, but we must continue to protect ourselves and those around us. Please get vaccinated and keep following the necessary guidelines until we are all safe. Let's bring back the soundtrack of our lives. Let's unite to prevent.
Until pancreatic cancer is 100% cured, we're 100% focused on research. Lustgarten Foundation, 100% pancreatic cancer research.
Stephanie Miller now has the floor, and she's joined by White House correspondent Brian Karam, who talks about what the past year has been like covering the Capitol.
This mid-Covia, post-Trump dystopia.
Right.
Yes. You actually sued Donald Trump 3 times successfully to keep your press pass. So we
Yes.
joke, but he obviously did viscerally hate you when you were the Playboy correspondent.
I think he viscerally hated anybody who asked him a question he didn't want to answer.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, he also liked to fight. So
Right.
It was kind of a, 50 of this, 50 of that. I mean, he loved to hate people, and he loved how fighting with the press made him look good with his minions. But at the end of the day, no, he never liked anybody who was going to ask him stuff he couldn't answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You on Twitter said, "I will never forget this," when someone said, "Will you commit to a peaceful transfer of power after the election?" And he said, "We're going to have to see what happens," which was his answer to everything, just about. But now, go ahead.
That was September 23rd, about 6 weeks, 8 weeks before the 6 weeks before the election.
Yeah.
And so if you were ever wondering who was behind the insurrection, he told you right there.
You tweeted, "Expel them from Congress, investigate, indict, prosecute anyone who denies it, everyone who continues the big lie, everyone who helped make it happen. They are not patriots, they are traitors." You wrote a great piece about, you just said, "I was there the day they poisoned America. I think we can still recover." At first, I thought they were like a bunch of rowdy NFL fans. I was mistaken, but there's a path back to reality, is what you write about. And that's what we keep talking about. Is there? What is the path when we have 2 sets of facts, when 71%, what did we say yesterday, Jody? 6% of Republicans think Joe Biden won. Right. Legitimately. COVID's a hoax. The vaccines don't work. On and on. Is there ever going to be one set of facts again in America?
Well, there's a couple things that you need to do. One is educate Americans better. 2, don't give voice to the, that's part of the problem in my profession as a reporter. We're always so used to being balanced, and we got to give both sides of the story.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You give both sides of the story when it comes to facts, if there are competing facts. But look, the Holocaust happened. The Earth is round. Man landed on the moon. COVID is real, and Donald Trump lost an election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm not going to give, I give short shrift, no attention to anybody who claims otherwise. And to put them on the air and to let them spout their, quite frankly, cancerous opinions is beyond me.
Well, the latest, Republican Senator Mike Rounds just said Trump lost the election, and you could hear the grasping of pearls from Republicans. You're just like, this is where we are? That's considered controversial?
No, and they're not Republicans. I mean, there are Republicans like Joe Walsh who was considered conservative, member of the Tea Party. Yeah. And now he's a liberal. So that tells you how far to the right has the Republican Party gone. It's not a Republican Party, it's the fascist party. Recognize it, admit it, and go on with it. Now, if you want to be a fascist, fine. But you know what? Just admit it.
61% of Boys and Girls Club kids rely on free or reduced breakfast and lunch at school. And with schools suddenly closed, families and communities across America are struggling. That's why Boys and Girls Clubs across the country are stepping up to help feed their communities. We're doing whatever it takes to help families get through this crisis. But we need your help. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit bgca.org/relief fund.
Hello, I'm Gilles Kepel, professor at Sciences Po and Normal Sup in Paris, and author of a number of books and articles on the Middle East. Through my new podcast, Reading the Middle East, on the award-winning media service Al Monitor, we will take a deep dive into the trends in the region with the authors and thought leaders who are shaping how we think about the Middle East. To begin my podcast, I speak with my friend and one of the most renowned novelists of the region, Egyptian writer Ala El-Aswani, about his latest book, The Republic of False Truths, that chronicles the run-up to Egypt's 2011 revolution and its aftermath. Reading the Middle East will be a fantastic addition to Al Monitor's outstanding podcast lineup. You can subscribe to all 3 Al Monitor podcasts on your favorite listening platforms. We look forward to your joining our conversation.
If you have not heard of the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network, your podcasting superstation, you suck. I mean,
yes.
We have the smartest, funniest liberals in the country. Stephanie Miller's Happy Hour. We have John Fugelsang. We have Hal Sparks, Frangela, Final Word and Idiot of the Week. We have Bob Seska. Oh my God. We have Jody Hamilton from The Bunker. We have Start Me Up with Kimberly Johnson. We have Unprecedented. We have the smartest, funniest podcast, period. Get it now. SexyLiberal.com.
I've loved these last 2 speeches from Biden. He's showing passion. He's showing gumption. He's not taking any more malarkey. January 6th, that was a great speech. Yesterday, a little slower to start, but he built momentum. And this is a very important issue. Went down to Atlanta, Georgia, and talked about voting rights. And called out, be it Democrats, be it Republicans, primarily called out U.S. senators, be on the right side of history. Well, Joe Biden's going to meet with the Democratic caucus, the Senate Democratic caucus, tomorrow. Little luncheon on the Hill. Joe's bringing a little weight to bear. And I know we talk a lot on this show, Manchin cinema. But I would point out, there's not a lot of Republicans out there doing the right thing right now, not offering perhaps some watered down, diluted version of your better regular beer. They are, I guess that microphone was on too. I just turned them all on. There is a diluted, watered down version that the Republicans will offer. And I do have some fear that the Democrats will, lose sight of the more important issue. The vote on this, voting rights, coming up suddenly. It's supposed to happen on January 17th. That's Monday. That's right around the corner. So Joe Biden better be persuasive. And I thought I had heard some conversation, some chatter overnight. A meeting of the minds. U.S. senators had gotten together overnight. And I thought I saw Sinema's name mentioned. And that would be movement in perhaps the right direction. But right now, the betting odds in Vegas, They're slim. No one thinks this is going to happen. Not the big bill, not the Democratic bill, not the democracy, little d democracy saving bill. That'd be troubling. But, that's Monday's problem. We got today's problem. Today's problem, U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, the minority leader over on the Senate side. Well, Mitch would like to characterize the speech from our pal Joe Biden quite a bit differently. I mean, to hear Mitch McConnell tell it, and we're going to share a little sound, not a lot, a little bit of sound. Because, this stretches reality. You didn't hear the same speech I heard. I know you didn't. I know you're projecting, you're casting what you wish this speech sounded like. And the vast majority of Republicans, the Trumpsters, the MAGA hat wearers, they didn't listen to the president's speech. So you feel like you can go and lie in public from the Senate chamber about what the president said yesterday. Don't believe your lying eyes. Believe me. Well, I don't believe you, Mitch. Cut number 40, if you would, Mitch McConnell.
The president's rant yesterday was incoherent, incorrect, and beneath his office.
You did not listen to the speech. I know you did. You don't want to be in the crosshairs here, the rhetorical crosshairs, but you know that A, he was not incoherent, he was strong. And B, he's talking about your party. Your party is the party of suppression. The Jim Crow 2.0, he's looking at you, Mitch McConnell. Maybe not you, maybe state lawmakers. I'm going to turn back to yesterday's notes from that fine speech. What do you say exactly? Give me one more second. The two prongs were voter suppression and election subversion. The big lie, Mitch. It ain't our party making the big lie. You would like to claim the big lie is what? More Mitch McConnell, just a little bit, little broccoli. Cut 41 if you would have it.
To demonize Americans who disagree with him, he compared, listen to this, a bipartisan majority of senators to literal traitors.
I'm not sure that he did, Mitch. But if you're being a traitor, that makes you traitorous. I'm not sure if he said that about you, sir. One more from the minority leader, and let's keep it that way. Cut number 42, please. Senator Mitch McConnell.
I did not recognize the man at the podium yesterday.
Oh, you recognize him. You saw him on January 6th. You saw him again yesterday, Mitch. You don't like him because he is the strong. He is the persuasive. I like that, Joe Biden.
Well, that is going to wrap up the talk portion of RFL. Up next, though, I'm handing it over to Larry Epstein. He's got your local news.
Ask yourself two questions. Is my participation in democracy important only every couple of years? And why does the filibuster still exist? Well, the answers to both are up to you. Democracy is a continuous process, and if you don't voice your priorities, your voice will not be heard. The filibuster, its supporters say it exists to promote debate. It does not. It promotes massive gridlock. Ever since your school days, you were involved in elections where the majority vote prevailed. Why isn't that true of every vote that occurs? Why isn't that true in the U.S. Senate? There, the filibuster rules, and that's why nothing gets done. Let's tell our senators, we want you to discuss the issues, debate them, and then let the majority rule. Please visit letmajorityrule.org to learn more. That's letmajorityrule.org. LetMajorityRule.org is a project of the Marvin Lucas Super PAC, which is responsible for and paid for this ad and is not affiliated with or authorized by any political campaign or candidate or candidates committee.